Welcome everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm really excited to get to know all of you and talk about this really important topic that I feel a lot of us are not talking enough about, and it is self-image. I'm going to share my screen and create a slideshow here. Please let me know if you can see my screen, if everything looks good on your end. Awesome. So today we're going to talk about how to redesign or how to design your self-image. And some people call it identity. I don't know if you've heard of this term before, but it's really the core of who we are. And it was programmed, as I will show you later in the presentation, since we were kids. So we want to become aware of what's been programmed to see how we can mold it to really help ourselves become the person who we want to be. Okay. So that's the goal for today. And just to tell you a little bit about who I am, I'm a master strategist and trainer for the Wholeness School. We're a school that is in 40 countries. And within 3 years, we were able to go pretty much viral and just reach people in 40 countries and build a multi-million-dollar school, helping men and women by training their mindset and their skill set to live a fulfilling life. And we do one-on-one coaching, corporate group trainings like this one. I have been coaching women for over, I would say it's almost 8 years. Actually, it should be today or yesterday is my 8th year anniversary. And it's been a pleasure to see how so many of you grow from these presentations, see my clients grow. And today's content is coming to you thanks to the Wholeness School, which is the school I work with and I train with. And so for any of you who want to connect now or after the presentation, here's all my information. Feel free to take a screenshot. Feel free to reach out. I have lots of resources for men and women, both for corporate or personal development, I would say. And so I always say, you don't have to go at it alone. If you need some help, support, or a little push, we're here to help. So this is my information. I do have a lot of quizzes and assessments you can take. So don't hesitate to reach out if you need help. I have 3 little kids. I actually didn't talk about that. I have 3 little kids. I'm almost 3, under 7. So one is 7, one is 5, and one is 1 in 2 months. And so I get to apply everything that I'm teaching you every single day. So I know how it feels. I'm in the trenches with you, and I also run a business. So I'm here with you, and everything I'm teaching you, I'm telling you, I've tried it myself, and it really is something that we have to continuously repeat and practice so that we can see the fruits of this work. So I really encourage you to, if you take one thing and you practice it after this presentation, it'll really, really bear fruit in your life, because I've seen the results of that as well. So the goal for today is to really focus on the following things I'm going to share. There's a universal crisis of self-image in the world. A lot of people really don't have an identity and don't know who they are, what they want, because they have been really inundated by the world telling them who they should be and what they should do, instead of just really understanding who they are. They don't know their power. They don't know how amazing the human brain is, how amazing the human spirit can be to move out of, different situations and into a life that's fulfilling. And so we want to talk about that and bring light so that you can walk away from this presentation and be someone who can give hope to those by telling them, hey, there's the neuroplasticity and science and all these beautiful breakthroughs that we're seeing today can help you move into understanding who you are and really designing a self-image that is whole and that is healthy, right? And so defining what self-image is, that's another thing we're going to do. How your self-image was shaped, so you understand where it came from. You can teach younger generations also to understand this, so we can avoid the crisis and really get out of it for the future children and also young adults that are probably going through different issues at the moment. And then also for you to really project the self-image that you want by understanding how it's shaped, right? How do you want to show up at work? How do you want to show up in your relationships? How do you want to show up in your family life? All of this is going to help you to design really who do you want to be and how to rewire it, right? And so the self-image crisis, we're not going to spend too much time on that. And then also talk about how much hope there is in neuroplasticity and which is your brain's ability to rewire and learn new behaviors and really wire new beliefs that lead you to different actions. And then we're going to do a Q&A if we have some time at the end. I would love to hear your questions and really get to know you and just answer as many things as I can during this time, okay? If you feel like I don't get to answer your questions, you still have more, I would encourage you to just email me. I'll share my email on the chat, and just, I'm here. I'm an open book and I'm here to serve. So don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, so thank you so much, Melissa, and all of you for having me. And Annalise, I forgot to thank you at the beginning. I just wanted to do it quickly. And then let's dive right in, everyone. Are you all ready to dive right in? How many of you, tell me in the chat, with a 1, if you've heard what self-image is, if you've ever even paid attention to your self-image. I just want to have like a temperature check of where you're all at specifically with this term and this concept of self-image, because I feel like before I was part of the women's school, I had heard about identity, like Tony Robbins, talks about it, and it's part of growing up. Self-esteem is a big word today. Self-worth, self-love are big words, but self-image, we do talk about it, but really don't. I mean, I had never learned how it was shaped and how it really is such a crucial part of who we are and what we do. Okay, so I see a lot of ones in there. So I'm assuming you have heard of the word, which is good, but today we're going to define it and really go back to how it was shaped, right? So self-image is a collaboration of integrated opinions. So like all the opinions that you formulated through time, through experiences that have defined your self-worth are what make up your self-image. So a collaboration of inherited opinions you have formulated from people, from experiences that have subjectively defined your self-worth, all right? Your self-image is the driving force to your wholeness, to you achieving a life of fulfillment, a life where you feel whole. So we could combine and throw in a big pot all the opinions you heard from your aunt that used to say, oh, she's the smart one, she's the slow one, your parents, oh, she's the tall one, she's this. And all these opinions just come in and create a bundle of your opinion and the view or of the identity that you have, right? When we were babies, we had no self-image, we were just there. But then as we grew up, we listened and we learned from experiences, and we were forming that concept of who we were. And self-image, I really connect to self-worth, because our self-worth is very, very affected, and it interchangeably interacts with our self-image. Okay, so our self-worth, our value as human beings, and Brene Brown is amazing at this, so we've studied her a lot. And a lot of our training comes from studying her findings, and it's really self-worth is our value as human beings. It's unconditional. It's not earned. It's actually given. But a lot of us grow up trying to prove that we are worthy of love through different avenues, right? We're not going to get into that. There's a whole other training that we could do for sure. But really, it's just a matter of understanding today that how much we think we deserve is very connected to our self-image. The type of relationship, the type of job, position, life that we think we deserve is very well connected to the person we think we are, which is our self-image, right? And so how do you know you're valuable when it comes to self-worth? Does someone even have to make you feel valuable to know that you're valuable? A lot of us grow up needing our parents to show us our value, right? And although our self-worth is objective and you are valuable no matter what, the world starts showing you that you're valuable in different ways. If you're really good at sports and you're really good at sales and you're really awesome at that, the world would respond, right? The coworkers, the parents, the people out there, and that's going to start shaping your opinion of yourself and how much you believe you're worth. However, a lot of the work we have to do is really going back to square one, because we've been conditioned to think that our worth increases or decreases based on possessions, based on popularity, based on fame, based on position in society. So we have to go back and say, okay, what's shaping my self-worth and how is that impacting my self-image? Okay, so let's start with this and just going a little bit into what self-worth is. I won't get into how to rewire, but if you have questions on how to like really rewire your self-worth and come to a place where you feel like, hey, I value myself unconditionally, regardless of possessions, fame, popularity, and all that, then I can always give you more trainings on that. But let's just touch it for a little bit, just the tip of the iceberg. So when you were growing up, you were a baby, your worth was unconditional, right? There's no conditions placed. Then as you were growing up, interactions with dad, mom, siblings, family, people's opinions, criticisms, labels, judgments, expectations, the standards of society, friends are a huge part, family, tell me about it, being Hispanic, all the comments of the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and all the people telling you, oh, you're this, you're that, those labels, right? Growing up had an impact, right, on your self-worth. And it really had a huge connection in the self-image that you created for yourself. So how your self-worth was revealed to you really shapes that, and it shapes the image you hold of yourself at the end. So what we want to do is right now, like actually in that process of hearing all the comments and opinions and labels, we went from unconditional sense of value, that we knew we were valuable. Obviously, we maybe didn't know it consciously because we were babies, to feeling that our value was conditional, right? Your current self-image is a set of inherited opinions based on the conditions placed on your value, right? So you are worthy and special if. For me, it was grades, right? My dad didn't do it on purpose. He's an amazing dad. I love him, but he was always giving me prizes for doing great at school. So I developed this tendency to condition to attach my identity, my self-image, and condition my worth to good grades. As a college student and then a professional, it ended up becoming something attached to my income, right? I'm worth more if I make more, right? So it was a really I believe it wasn't the right way to look at it, but it really had an impact at a subconscious level in my behavior, to the point where in college I would get sick because I wanted to be the president of all the clubs. I wanted to get the best internships. I wanted to work for all the best companies, because I thought that my identity depended on that. It's great to do that without attaching it to our value, but there's a risk that we are teaching our kids, because we grew up like that. And this is just one example. There's many, many different ways in which maybe you're experiencing this. There's a risk that we're teaching that and passing it down to our kids because we're not aware. So I became aware of that, and that gave me a lot of freedom to pursue my success, like what I wanted, without conditioning my value. So today I'm wired that I know I'm worthy of love, and I'm a human being with lots of value, without needing to look a certain way, to make a certain amount of money, and to perform. So I'm just valuable because I am, right? And that gives us lots of freedom. And it's one of the biggest things we see in the healing process of women when they go through the masterclass, where we teach this. So how is that affecting your self-image? So your self-worth was conditional, to how perfectly you performed, how much you produce, how much you please, improve yourself. Then inevitably, you have inherited negative labels that have become part of the image you hold of yourself. So how does your self-worth shape your self-image? Well, a lot of us, and I don't want to say a lot of these because they're very strong, say, I'm dumb, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm exhausted. And anything we place after I am is true to your subconscious mind, right? So I'm so afraid to fail, I'm lazy. And those thoughts that we repeat over and over, they wire as beliefs in our subconscious, and they literally run like a program on autopilot, the things we do, and dictate how we behave. Okay, so if all day I'm saying I'm always late, guess what? My self-image, it's just going to be wired, because I said it so many times. I proved it to myself. I gave my brain evidence of it, that it's going to become part of who I am. In order to change that, we have to go in and rewire. And the first step, ladies, is just one thing you could do today is say, what is one thing I continuously say to myself that I don't no longer want to say, right? Oh, I'm not good at this. Or in my job, I'm the one that always gets this. Or if you have positive beliefs, how we can exponentiate those, like really pass those down to our children, to the next generation. So I'm not saying all of our internal dialogue is negative, but if we catch the thoughts, the beliefs that are not helping us move to the next level, then we can just really break through, right? So this is just an example of the things we don't want to be saying to ourselves. And my homework for you would be to just really think about, how am I speaking to myself? What is the self-image that I have around money, around work, around family, and as a mother, if you're a mother, as a wife, friend, girlfriend, fiance, any role that you're playing today, right? And so you are born with 100 billion neurons. Your brain is literally an artifact that is always growing and doing, making new pathways, right? So language was learned through repetition, right? You started talking, experiencing the world, and you wired a language. For those of you who speak more than 2 languages, or more than 1 language, or more than 2, you wire that through repetition, through exposure. And at first, it might have been a little difficult to speak, but then as you practice and repeated, that language was wired and you ended up becoming fluent in that language, correct? So walking was also something that you probably didn't do very well at first. We stumbled a little bit. I have a almost walker right now at home, so I could see how he's just learning. And I know there's neural pathways connecting for that behavior or for that movement to become just normal, right? In typing, I remember when I started typing when I was little, I would type 1 letter at a time, and you probably were too. And then as you grow, you can see how amazing the brain is, that you can type without even looking at the keyboard because it's wired. Your brain is so amazing that you can literally type without looking at the letters. And over time, with repetition, that's something you wired. Just like we wired all those beautiful things that we do, practically driving is a big one. We also wired our self-image, okay? And the good news is that there's a way to rewire, right? So, but we're gonna get into that today. So your self-image is programmed, right? It's just like a thermostat, right? This explains a lot why there are a lot of people, they say 85% of people who win the lottery lose the money within 5 years. Why? And it's because we're like a thermostat. If we're set to a certain amount of money in a certain amount of in a certain lifestyle, and that's our self-image is just really wired at our neurological level to live that way, to be that person, and that's the identity we have. It doesn't matter how much money we get from the lottery or from whoever gives us money. If we don't upgrade and we don't set our temperature, when I say temperature is like our self-image, we don't set it up to a new level, we're going to default back to the what is set in our subconscious. Okay, so if that's why 85% of people, they become millionaires. They're actually millionaires in their, you look at their bank account, they have millions, but their mindset is still the mindset of, that they had when they were middle class, lower class, high middle class, whatever they were before they won. So if they don't upgrade to millionaire mindset, guess what? They're going to default back to what their self-image is telling them they are. Because they're hanging out with the same people, they're doing the same things that they used to do, they're managing money the same way, and we cannot deviate from our self-image. So your self-image is just a set of those neurological wirings that fired, and they wired together for years. And your subconscious mind just holds that program. Just like it holds your breathing, your digestion, the subconscious mind is literally 95% of who you are, right? It runs the show inside of you. And so it is only when you change the internal hardwire that you can change the external results. Okay, the woman's arena or the men's arena is when you look at your whole life and you say, okay, what do I want in my family life? What do I want in wealth? What do I want at work? And you design what you want, and then you level up to become the person who has that. Okay, and this is all science. It's very interesting. So you've been operating by a prejudice of limitations based on the collaboration of opinions of people that you have assumed to be true, okay, about yourself. So you did this simply because you lacked the understanding. A lot of us didn't know. We didn't have the skills, and we didn't have the resilience needed to develop and design your own self-image or our own self-image. And so this is a great robbery of today. A lot of people think they have to be who they were told to be. oh, you were really good at this, you're going to be this for your whole life, right? And so it doesn't have to be that way. Neuroplasticity in science really opens a new door for us. And so how does your self-image impact every part of your arena? I want you to think about this arena as a woman and as a man, and say, like, really, when you think about, if let's say I'm a mom of 3 and I'm someone who always says, I'm really terrible at managing my time. And that's my belief about myself. How do you think that's going to affect my family life? It's going to trickle into that, right? It's going to trickle into my health, because maybe my mental health is going to suffer because I say that I'm not good and I believe that I'm not good at managing time. So I'm not going to make time for exercise. I'm not going to make time for cooking or healthy meals because I don't have time and I'm not good at it. That's the belief that I have, right? And so everything we think of ourselves, the beliefs and the self-image that we hold, our identity, is trickling into our family life, is trickling into our health, it's affecting our wealth. I used to have a huge trauma with wealth. My dad he got put at gunpoint and back. I'm from Venezuela. He almost got killed twice because he was carrying cash, right? He was just bringing cash from a bank to another bank, whatever. And for me, that created a shock in my subconscious because I was probably like 7 or 10 when that happened. And I used to associate a lot of money, large amounts of money, with danger. And that was blocking a lot of the work that I was doing and not allowing me to like feel comfortable when I had lots of money in my hands and just, and so I had to rewire that. And that was affecting my self-image as well, because I didn't know there was something in my subconscious that was affecting the way I earned, the way I managed money. And I thought, oh, there must be something wrong with me. But no, it was just something that was wired. Trauma can also have an effect in our self-image. So it really has trickles into everything, and every area of your life is connected. But self-image is a huge driver, okay, of how you enjoy life and how you show up in all the other areas. So the book Psycho-Cybernetics, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It was written by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and he literally wrote it back in the 1960s. He called it Psycho-Cybernetics because he said that we had a huge cybernetic mechanism in our minds that comes from the Greek word steersman, which the cybernetic mechanism is basically the steersman that's just leading you into a direction, right? And so every living thing has a built-in guidance system, like an internal compass. Think about it that way. And so the self-image is that steersman, is that key to human personality and human behavior. So when you change your personality, you change your personal reality. That's something that your Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. And it's so true, because when you change your self-image, you change the personality and the behavior of the person, right? So if I'm someone who has wired a belief that I am a great mom, right, I'm going to naturally behave like that, right? Correct? Or if I've wired, that relationships in my life, because I've seen examples of that, role models, relationships are easygoing for me, and I wire that I'm, I just have ease in my relationship, that's going to really translate into my behavior, right? It's going to really help me. And so most people aren't aware that the results they're achieving are really a direct reflection of their self-image. And if they improve the self-image, the improvement will automatically be reflected in their results. I've had to do a lot of work in different areas, and it really is, I really found that this to be true. And we have more and more data that shows that as well, that what Dr. Maxwell said back in the 60s is real. So there's hope. For me, this means there's hope. Like, if there's an area of my life, and for you too, for you as well, if there's an area of your life where you're like, oh, I just really can't get through this block, I can't just move past this thing, we got to go back and check that subconscious wiring. We got to go back and check that self-image and just do some belief work, right? Just rewiring limiting beliefs. So we act, we behave, and we feel according to what we consider our self-image to be. And we do not deviate from that pattern. So whether I like it or not, I will stay true to my self-image, right? If I believe that I'm not athletic, if I believe that I'm not a saver, if I believe that I am I don't know, any other thing you can think of, any belief that you have. If I believe that and it's wired, I'm not going to deviate. We're not. We're going to stay true to what's wired in our subconscious. So if we don't like what we're doing, we have to go back into that computer and rewire, right? Reprogram. So the whole world operates on images, right? Anytime you you talk about anything, you're using words or gestures to create a specific image in someone else's mind or in your mind. So each one of us has self-image, and it's just literally like the way we see ourselves. It's not as easy to just say, oh, there's just one image, but there's images that we associate with ourselves, right? And so the automatic pilot in an airplane, if you think about it, is a cybernetic mechanism. If the plane goes off course because there's turbulence, there's hail, there's a storm, whatever, that mechanism that the plane uses is going to bring it back to its course without any assistance from the pilot, because it has this program to go that course, go from Miami to New York, okay? And so the same thing happens with our self-image. If I respond a certain way when people cross my limits, if I respond a certain way when my boss says something about me or doesn't take, or gives me a promotion or doesn't give me a promotion, if that's my, if I have a habitual response, it's going to continue to be that way unless I rewire, okay? It's just gonna be trigger, response, because that's what's wired, okay? So I just want you to understand that to see how powerful it is. If I wake up every day and brush my teeth with my right hand, and it's just gonna continue to happen unless I consciously choose to change that. So it's been said that a rocket going to the moon will be off course 90% of the time. If it fails its own, like if it fails its way to the moon because it's off course 90% of the time. But just like a cybernetic mechanism keeps correcting its course, the image you hold of yourself literally controls the results you get in life, okay? So a lot of times when I've had to make a transformation in my life or just go from something that I feel is really hard, I go first into my self-image and I check, what is the self-image I have in this area? Okay. Do I believe I am someone who, I remember when I used to, when I wanted to eat healthier, it was really funny, but I would say, I can't see myself being that person who orders a salad. I couldn't do it. Like, I was just like, no, I have to have the thing, that I really want. And over time, I taught myself to like salads. And it's funny because I used to hate them. And it's just like, because I wanted to be that person, it's like, I want to change the identity. I don't want to just change the actions. And eventually it just happened. So, and now it's like more of a natural thing to do that, but I still have my things that I want, but it's more of like an identity change when we actually like go into that hardwire, I guess that software, and change it. Okay. So this explains why a person can have superior intellect, to be very smart, but get really, really inferior results because their self-image is not matching that. Right. And then you can see a person that has superior intellect, but low self-esteem as well, and say, wow, but this person is so smart, so talented, so amazing. Why aren't they, succeeding? It's their self-image, or maybe their self-esteem that's sabotaging that. And then you can see another person who has a lot of confidence, very powerful self-image, not very smart, maybe not the smartest, but they're doing really well. That explains why self-image is so powerful. So our self-image is formed by our experiences. Like I said, wired on how our image was carefully revealed. It's our conception of the kind of person we are now. And, sometimes a good example of this is when someone says, oh, you look beautiful today, and you can't receive that, it's because you really don't believe it, because it's wired that you probably wired, or you believe that you don't look good. So when someone says that, you're like, oh my God, oh no, you diffuse the compliment. You're like, no, but you look better, because at a subconscious level, you cannot receive it because you haven't wired that. Okay. That used to happen to me a lot. We don't question its validity when something happens, we don't question the validity. We believe it to be true from a subconscious level. So if someone tells me you are such an amazing mom, and I don't believe it, I won't question it. It's just part of my belief system. And I would say, no, I'm not. Right? Does that make sense? Or you're amazing at You're just great at sales. You're just great at what you do. And I don't believe it. I'm not going to even entertain it. I'm just not going to, take that compliment. Okay. It is hardwired like a language. So it is our self-image is a cap to what we allow to be possible, in the different parts of our arena as a woman or as a man. So your self-image just sets a boundary for your performance. So, I'm someone who's going to make this amount of money, and that's what I expect, and that's what I wired. Guess what? That's going to be it. You set the limits. Okay. So we act like that person. In fact, we can't act any different, and no amount of willpower can stop it, because if we believe we're a horrible mom, we're a horrible worker, we're a horrible boss, manager, we will find evidence of how bad we are, because our brain is going to point us to make our own prophecy real. It's survival. And this is science, right? So your external circumstances are a direct impact of the image you hold of yourself. Your self-image determines your results in life. Okay, that's it. So the conscious mind, the subconscious mind are here. Whatever is wired here in the subconscious is going to be what's ruling our behavior. A lot of times, what we do, and this is something that I want you to write down and take with you, is we try to make changes out here. We try to change only the physical stuff we do, right? We say, oh no, I'm going to move. Because when I move to another country, I know my life is going to change. I'm going to go to another company because I know there's too much drama in this company. While that could be true, maybe the company could be the issue, the corporation you work, the job, or the country. There could be, environments where you don't want to be. What we really have to focus on is changing the inner world first, the mind, the mentality, the mindset we have, and then the results change. A lot of times we focus too much on the external, and we want to change the diet, we want to change the people around us, we want to change everyone, our husbands, our spouses, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, but we don't change ourselves. We don't change the mind first, and that's why our results don't change. So we have to always go in here, the subconscious. Okay, and so that's just what I want to say. And then for men and women, there's a universal story, right? So our self-worth was conditioned by these elements: mom, dad, siblings, friends, community. Our self-image was affected by it. And then that's going to rule our legacy. It's going to rule the contribution that we're going to leave in this world. That's why it's so important that we check it, we redesign it, and we reprogram it to what we really want it to be. So we don't become a victim of that story that we were told, or whatever we believed when we didn't know. We were just wiring that, right? So how are you ladies and gentlemen doing with this? Is it helping you? Is it just opening your eyes? I want it to be a topic of, like, I want you to walk away with hope, because there's so much you can do to rewire. But I do feel like sometimes it's like, oh my God, there's a tendency when I work with my clients or when I teach this to be like, oh, I can't believe I've done this my whole life and I didn't know. Let's be happy that we know now, right? And that we can rewire now. So meditation, hypnosis are really great ways to rewire your brain and your mind. I meditate and do hypnosis almost every day to wire things that I want to wire. So why is self-image such a crisis? No training, like not connecting the dots of how our self-image is impacting a woman's arena or a men's arena. No one taught us that, right? No one taught us, maybe they taught us, if you're confident, you'll be fine, you'll do well, right? But we didn't know the intricacies of this topic, right? School and home and in between, no one really taught us, no one trained us. There's no language for the battle that we have inside. That's why we see so much anxiety, depression. People are not knowing how to express what's going on. They don't know their brains. I actually highly recommend Dr. Caroline Leaf's book, Fix Your Mental Mess. No matter what level of success you've had, I always think it's really good to understand how our brain works and how to regulate yourselves. So I highly recommend that book. If you want a copy, I have a free copy of that book that I can send you, so you can listen on Audible. So just shoot me an email and I'll send it for you. I'll send it to you if you want that book. It's a great place to start. So number 2, hardwired programming. Another reason why it's such a crisis, like hardwired programming is whatever we have wired about how the world works. And it requires work, a mindset shift, and accountability and skill development to change the way we think and change the way we see ourselves. So patience, persistence, and the right strategy will help you rewire. And another issue is the lack of role models. We have a lack of integrated women and men who value every part of their life. A lot of the times we see successful people, very few successful people who have a balance, right? It's hard to see someone who's like, oh, they have a great family, great health, great finances, and all the things are balanced. It's something that back in the day, it was more about, okay, focus on 2 or 3 things and you should be fine. That's why we see people like, sadly, Twig, is that his name? I don't know if I said it right. Kate Spade, sadly, because they pursued something and something was missing. They didn't know how to talk about it. They didn't know how to go about it. Maybe they didn't have any role models and they just, made the decision they made. So we want to become that role model of an integrated life, of a life of wholeness, where it's not only, pursue fame, pursue health, but forget about your family. Just let's do it all. Let's have it all. Let's have that balance, right? So the culture just talks about, really takes us into this integration depletion, focusing on a few things here and there. I want you to focus on wholeness, right? Really having that peace of mind, and really working on every area of your life in tandem, okay? So the present day story, we already know it. Depression, anxiety, drugs, all this has to do a lot with our self-worth and our self-image. It's really connected. So in order to change this in the culture, we have to look at our self-image and our self-worth. And this is just a very short way of talking about this. I wish I could give you more today, but if you ever need any more resources or trainings, please reach out. Hustling for our worth feels like fighting for survival. It really does. And our brains are feeling that. Back in the day, it was run away from the lion so you don't get eaten. And that was what stressed out humans, right? Today, the stressors can be, oh, my house is a mess, or my schedule is a hot mess. That means I'm not a good mom, or my kids don't talk to me. That means I must not be a good dad. Or if you don't have kids, my boss doesn't understand me. I don't know how to set limits with people. Then there must be something wrong with me, right? It's just all those things. I got to get to work on time. That's a stressor. And our brains don't know the difference between a lion chasing us and us being stressed about a conversation, being late to work, a bill. Cortisol just rises. So managing our mind is so key, such a key skill to really regulate, which actually Dr. Karen Leaf does a great job in teaching us how to do that. We also have other trainings on how to manage our minds that can help you. So to get out of survival, we have to first redesign our self-image. Right now, the self-image that we're holding could be stressing, having our brain in survival mode, which means high cortisol, high stress, and a lot of inflammation in our body. So we have to really know, okay, do I feel like the self-image I have today at home, at work, is allowing me to live in wholeness, or is it stressing me out? Okay, so there's hope. Neuroplasticity, as I said, also known as neural plasticity or brain plasticity. I'm sure Donna knows about this. Is the ability of neural networks in our brain to change through growth and reorganization. It's such a beautiful thing. God gave us that our creator gave us that just amazing ability to change. Back in the day, they used to think that our brains will stay the same and that we were just the way we were, but not anymore. We've seen it over and over through different recoveries and science and scientific studies that we can change. So we can rewire old beliefs and labels that hold our self-image hostage. Just like somebody who couldn't walk can learn to walk again. We can do this. And thankfully it's a lot easier, right? It's not such a challenge. So we have to put the old beliefs in atrophy, just break those connections, find a lot of evidence that I am a horrible person is not true. We just list evidence of that, or I just can't manage this. Find a lot of evidence to destroy that belief until your brain knows, oh, this is no longer what I want to believe. And we replace that belief with a new one. I'm worthy of love and love and attention, right? Like we can replace that and find a lot of evidence of why we're worthy of that. And that starts changing the chemistry of our brain, which is amazing. It's such a blessing, right? So it's all about what we focus on and really being aware of what's there. So self-image is your intended design. This is who you choose to be. So think about you just molding clay and saying, I want to be like this. I want to be this person. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a successful this and that. I want to be a great, philanthropist, whatever you dream of. I want to be an author. I want to be a writer, whatever. And you get to mold yourself through neuroscience to be that person. All right. I want to be a person of integrity, punctual, committed, healthy, calm, class. I don't know what class, like classy. I don't know. I don't know why I wrote that. So this is who I've been conditioned to become. Here on the right side, you see, if we've been conditioned to become a jar without shape, or like we didn't, really get taught to say, this is who I want to be. This is the shape of the self-image of the woman I want to be, or the man I want to be. We're just pouring. People were pouring opinions and labels and things into our brain without any form. But now that you know this, you can say, this is the form I want to give to my self-image, right? So it's just a visual for you to have an idea. So it's just like a house. An architect has to design the house. She has to create the blueprint, and then the house is built. So in order for you to become someone different, to achieve different results, you have to say, this is who I want to be, and just design yourself, right? So beautiful. So there's 3 steps to rewiring your self-image that I teach, that we teach in the women's school and the men's school. And this was created by our founder, Jenny Donovan. It is really reevaluate your current self-image. Say, okay, in which area do I really want, like, how am I doing? And we have assessments for this if you want me to send some as well. Then we rewire a new self-image, and then we build our mindset and our skill set to match that. Okay, so if I say I want to be a successful entrepreneur, right, and make millions of dollars, right? Well, I'm gonna have to wire some new beliefs, right? I'm gonna have to elevate my mindset. I'm gonna have to learn some skills. I'm gonna have to learn sales, marketing, managing others, effective communication. Same thing happens with anything you want to rewire. So if you want to share in the chat or write down for yourself one thing you want to work on, okay? Just make this as practical as can be. So one thing you've noticed that you're like, I think I want to really rewire this, and I'm ready for a change. Write it down, and then let's go through this with that in mind. Okay, so you can walk. I really like when people apply this. I don't want you walking away and not really doing anything with this. I want you to just start working on it, right? My fashion sense. Oh, I love that. I actually have worked on that too. How fun is that, Christina? She just said that in the chat. I want to work on my fashion sense. I actually, 2 years ago, I said, I want to be more elegant. Like, I want to be more like those elegant women that just come in and they look like so elegant. Like, and I'm still working on it, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. And it also, the way you look and the way you present yourself, it really, it's a form of contribution to the people around you, right? So how fun is that, Christina? Anyone else share things that you may want to work on? That pressure to be perfect. We see Demi Lovato here talking about that. And really just fill everyone's mold except their own is really what has the world in such a crisis, right? So let's reevaluate our self-image. That's step number 1. Hey, right now, what is this fashion sense that you have, Christina? What is the image you have? Creating that awareness is the first person we break from, right? Sometimes we are in a prison and we don't know because we're not aware. But when we're aware, when we become aware, it's like, okay, I could change, I could break free because now I know I'm in one, right? So as a woman and as a man, we have to say, okay, the whole point of doing this work is to live a fulfilling life, right? It's not just to change it for the sake of changing it. It's for, in this case of Christina, it's like your fashion sense is, working on that It's going to be a benefit to yourself, but it's also going to be a gift to others, right? We want to do this work because we want to contribute, not just because, for ourselves, it's great, but also to contribute. Time management is a big one for a lot of people. I want my outside to reflect the kindness inside. That's beautiful. Better financial decisions. We got to go back. When it's financial decisions, I recommend working on beliefs that you wired when you were growing up. So important. Watching mom and dad, argue, talk about money, behave around money. That's a great way to start to see what was wired. Okay. Who do you want to be as a woman or as a man in the context of all these areas of your life, right? Like, who do you want to be? And the goal is achieving a sense of wholeness, like you not being perfect, but knowing that every day you're getting a little better. Okay. So I love it. So if you want more, just a quote from Jim Rohn, I love Jim Rohn. If you want to have more, you have to become more. For things to improve, you have to improve. For things to get better, you have to get better. For things to change, you have to change. When you change, everything changes. Keyword, you, right? You have to change you. So it all starts with us. And there's hope. So we already defined what we wanted. You became aware of one thing you wanted to change, right? Now, how do we rewire a new image, right? Let's just get into this. I know that we don't have much time, but I'm trying to give you as much as I can. Rewire formula. So we read, we recite, we repeat, and then we retreat and we observe. So this formula was created by our founder, Jenny, and I love it because it's basically let's say we have an example from the chat. Better financial decisions, time management. Right now, you're going to say, okay, how do I want to show up? What's going to be my identity? What's the self-image of a woman who is great at managing her time? You can write a whole page of, okay, the version of me, I say Samantha said something, the version of Samantha or Melissa, who also said that, who is a great time manager, does this, and that, is punctual, wakes up this, writes her goals, blah, 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 blah. Anything you do, right? You're going to describe that. You're going to give your brain an image of that new identity, right? Then you're going to read it every day. You don't have to take more than a minute, like just a minute, just 5 things, I show up on time. I honor my word. I plan my day the night before. That's the self-image of the woman. She does that stuff. How does she feel about time, managing time? Well, she feels at ease because she knows how to do it. And then you're going to just ease into that new identity. You're going to be like, okay, you start feeling your way towards that, right? And then we're going to read it. We're going to recite that. I'm awesome at managing my time. Every day I get better at this. And so then, you're going to repeat it, and you can visualize for 5 minutes a day. It's something that Olympians use. Visualization really works. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you visualizing or you doing something. I don't know if you've heard of the piano study, that some people were asked to play the piano in real life, just touching the piano, and others were asked to play the piano in their minds, and the same areas of the brain lit up, regardless of whether they were actually playing the piano in real life or imagining. So your brain doesn't know that you're visualizing you're a great time manager, right? Like, it doesn't know that you're visualizing yourself getting somewhere on time and feeling so happy that you got there on time. Like, yes, I did it. Or whatever it is you're working on, right? Within that. So work on rewiring every day, right before you go to bed, right in the morning, right after you wake up, wiring that new self-image, okay, of that person you want to be. And then, of course, there's, you can do this for every area of your life if you want to, for financial decisions. And sometimes what really helps, if you don't have like any idea of how to do this, like you can watch YouTube videos of the things you're trying to do. Like, let's say traveling is one of the things you want to do, or even managing your time. Go learn about this topic, right? Finances. Maybe it's just a matter of the fact that you don't have the information. You never learned. Nobody taught you how to, behave with money, around money, or, so that's another way to do it. So that brings me to skills. So step 3 is, we're not going to stay all day visualizing, right? And just hoping, meditating our way to success. Of course, if we were a monk or one of those people who really spend their whole day meditating and praying, like, we could maybe do it, because the mind is very powerful and the spirit is very powerful, but we don't do that. So we got to also back it up with some skills, right? And just mindset. So let's see. So mindset, changing our minds, beliefs, labels, break limits, identifying any limiting belief that we have around time management, around finances, money, investing. What's a story you're telling yourself around this? Oh no, the story is, I just like to run late. I just like to do things last minute. I noticed that in myself. Like, when I have a lot of time, I'll say, oh, I'll do it later, and then I'll rush at the end. That's something you can notice and change, right? Things like that we can look into. And then using our reticular activator, right? So let's say you're working on the time management or the finances, right? And you're rewiring that. Your mind, the mindset part is going to be all about focusing on what you really want, right? So if you want to be a better time manager and you were early, if tomorrow you're early to something, I want you to focus on that and be like, I did it. And so focus on all the things you're doing right, so you can have more of that, because what you focus on expands, and that's explained by the reticular activator, which is a part of your brain that just filters information so that you cannot be overwhelmed. Just to keep it simple, like, explain it in a simple way. So it's just like when you buy a new car, you start seeing that car everywhere all of a sudden. It's because you told your mind that that's an important thing, and your mind will focus on that. So let's shift our focus away from things we're doing wrong and more into things we're doing right, or things we want, so that slowly we can wire that and make it more predominant in our mind, right? So focus more on the time you were on time, the time you actually had good time management, the time you saved money, and just see how that feels and continue to just engage in that. Okay. Does that make sense? Is that helping? Okay. Now, skills. So we are going to complement your mindset work with skills. There's no point in me affirming my way through life like, I'm a great time manager, if I don't even take time to plan my day, right? Like, it's not gonna, if I don't learn how to create a routine, if I don't learn how to put limits, if I don't learn how to effectively communicate with people that are going to be affecting this new thing that I'm trying to do. So dreaming, if I don't have a dream, I'm not going to have a motivation to manage my time better, because I don't have a vision that I'm going towards, right? If I remember my dream is going to be the fuel to my discipline in sticking to my schedule, right? Same thing with finances. Like, if I know that in 10, 20 years, I want to have this much money saved or invested, I'm going to have a push and an excitement and a motivator to make better financial decisions, because I know where I'm headed. But if I don't know where I'm headed, I don't know what the image of the woman that has really great fashion sense is, I'm not going to know where to go, and I'm not going to know what to do. So decision making, commitment, these are all skills that we teach that you can learn individually at different seasons of your life to feed that new self-image. Okay. So it's just beautiful to mix those two, right? Just mindset and skills. One thing that happened to me with the time management was, I was saying, I don't have time. I was in a rush. I've told this story so many times. I don't know if Nelly and Samantha and Annalise already heard it, and then all of a sudden I heard, if you continue to say that, you continue to make your prophecy fulfill your own prophecy. I don't have time. And I was rushed. So I started saying, I have plenty of time to do all the things I need to do. And then the last component came in, which was, I came across, because my reticular activator, right, what I talked about earlier, was focusing on being a better time manager. I came across a course on how to manage my time. It was called Conquer Your Calendar by one of my friends. She's now my friend in college. And I took her course. She has 8 kids. And I'm like, this woman knows how to manage. She probably knows how to manage her time. I took her course, and that helped me develop that skill of planning my day learn from somebody. I found a role model that told me, hey, it is possible to do it all, to have it all as a mom. I took her course that gave me a new skill set. And then I can tell you that my life was night and day, completely different, completely improved because I combined those two things: mindset, a new way of thinking, and I learned a skill, which was managing my routines and my calendar. So same thing can be done with sales. Money. Oh, I want to make more money. What can I learn? What skill do I need to learn to make more money? Do I need to get a certification? Do I need to learn sales? Do I need to learn marketing? It's all a skill away. All right. Everything's a skill away. So here are some of the skills that you can learn. And I know that it's almost the hour, but just sharing this with you. You can take a screenshot. These are all the skills we teach in the wholeness school, in the women's school, in the men's school. And they're all really great. So you're either impacting or getting impacted. Who are you now? So you get to choose, right? So, and if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Just reach out. I'm going to share my info in the chat. And I guess now in the last few minutes that we have, we can just go into questions, Q&A. If you have any questions for me, I would love to hear if in the chat, or if you want to unmute, if this helped you, if it makes sense. I just want to just serve as many of you as I can with this, because it's really changed my life. So I just love teaching it. So are you impacting the world, or are you being impacted, right? So we have to upgrade our mindset and our skill set, because we cannot solve a problem with the same mindset and skill set that we created it with. Einstein said that in a different way, but it's insanity to just try to solve something with the same mindset that we created, right? So thank you, Sam, and so I'll just share here my info. Did this help? Did this resonate? Did it make sense? If you ladies,
excellent.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Dawn. Thank you. I'm going to share here. This is one of 22 lessons that we teach in the masterclass. So I'm going to share my email with all of you in case you want any other sample lessons. And this work is really, really powerful. It really is so good to become aware of these things, right? And have a guide to make it happen. So definitely makes you start your day with a new perspective. Yeah, there's so much hope if we do the work. I always say to my clients, you got to do the work. Like, we have to sit down, create the self-image. We have to visualize every day. But if you do, the reward is so amazing, because we get to stop stumbling on the same rock over and over, right? For years, we get to just change that. I'm so glad you ladies were here. Thank you, Stacy.